progress we've made, how we've made it. Let's scale that and improve upon it, right? This is math, right? We don't want to inject emotion into a mathematical situation where we can go ahead and accelerate change for the better, change for equality, right? Let's reduce the number of names with the same exact color, with the same exact incidence in my life. I've been alive 52 years and this stuff's been going on, goes on less and less. Although it may seem like it goes on more and more, if you look statistically, it goes on less and less. But we have media. And so it seems like it goes on more and more. When I was with Leigh Steinberg, Ryan Leaf, who's a San Diego Charger, they kept replaying his blow up in the locker room again and again and again. It seemed like the guy blew up 1,000 times. We have to look at things statistically. We have to be progressive and aggressive about change, constructive change, looking at the actual statistics, connecting the dots backwards, leaving our emotions, right? Express them, let them out, right? Try not to have attacking thoughts, try to have constructive thoughts and words, etc. Stand up for who you are and your rights. They are listed in a variety of state and federal social contracted laws that we all have voted on. Whether they're just or not, whether they're fair or not, those were the ones that everyone living in this country and paying their taxes agreed upon until we change them. And so if you want change, then, vote for that. Vote for it in your primaries and in your elections and all those places. This is the way the system works. Protest from day until night. You say what you want. But I am telling you that let's get progress and acceleration in helping one another, in creating equality, creating more love, more peace, which is why I'm on a personal mission to create happiness, because happy people don't hurt other people. Happy people don't burn things down. Happy people don't steal. Happy people don't kill. They just don't. Happiness is a light. It's a love. It's a lesson. And we're accelerating it, creating a collective consciousness of happiness. Jeremy W. Greenfield, welcome back, Carter. Great to have you in the house. Loving everybody. Let's get some questions here. I'm getting all these people coming through. Luke, I'd love to come and talk about my experience. Absolutely, Luke. Let's share all of our experiences. I actually had an incident when I was in law school with the police and was detained and abused, and my roommate sued the police for abuse and had head trauma, and it was awful, right? I know what it's like. Jen Gottlieb's in the house. We'll be bringing her on in a bit. I am looking to see who else. Hello, everybody. Let me know. Miriam, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you, everybody. Let's see if there's a question here. Australian man, I'm 14, turning 15. What do you think a good first job would be? Please answer. One that has skills that you want to learn. A good job for you is go ahead and find a job pertaining to the skills and knowledge you want to learn. Find someone that sits in the situation you want to be in and go ahead and get a job there. If you need money, then make it about the money. Right? At that age, if you got to feed your family, I've been there, right? Then make the money and go ahead and do what you need to do. Yep. We would love to talk to you, Charlie. Not a problem, my friend. Join me on office hours. I'll be here every day. I've been trying to answer as many questions all weekend long. People have been living it there, and we're getting to it. So let's see here, and see who's coming live with me. Oops. Oh, I switched it to the umbrella. Let's switch it back. There we go. Fat Finger Dave. And I'm going to wait for, let me just bring Charlie on real quick. Oh, here's Chris. All right. This will be fun. The amazing Chris Gronkowski is joining us. One of my favorite dudes. Hey,
What's going on, man?
You're the man. What's going on?
Just getting it in, starting the day early, getting that work in. Man, and a lot of stuff coming in for Father's Day. So it's been a grind, but it's been good. And I got a baby on the way, like I was telling you. So if I got to run out of here,
Not a problem.
free is here.
I was hoping you wouldn't be here this morning. That meant you had a baby on the way, which is much more important and a lot more exciting. So congratulations, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, third boy. So we're still.
You're a machine. I started with 3 girls, and then baby oops was a boy, so I quit at 4.
Oh man, my wife would be really excited for the girl. So
until they're teenagers, then she won't be so excited. Trust me. So look, there's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, you're one of those guys I love because you understand finding your own frequency, right? You're young, you're aggressive, but obviously your big brother found his own frequency, and it's really hard to do at a young age. At 52, it's a lot easier, but I wish I had your perception and perspective about, hey, I'm my own person. I do the best that I can. I'm not perfect, but you have your own frequency. Today, with everything going on, complete chaos, especially for people your age, I think it's really important to know your own values and know who you are, and it gives you more of a sense of calmness and certainty. What are some of those tricks that you and your brother, maybe he has taught you about? Be yourself. Don't listen to the voices, the chatter, the attacking thoughts, the attacking words.
Yeah, man. So he's the bigger brother, but he's younger. So
actually, is he? That's right.
So I have.
But you look younger, man.
But with him, man, I tell people that all the time. That's one of the most impressive things with him. He entered the league when he was 20 years old. He got paid millions of dollars as a 20-year-old. And I know when I was 20, if I got paid millions, it would have been tough. It would have been a grind. Man, it would have been hard to really control myself because I was out of control at 20. I went into the league at 23, and I had some decent money then, and it was still, and it's a big responsibility. So I think one of the most impressive things is that he has never changed. Even when he got paid that money, we were still, he was, and I was too as well, but we were still taking home meals from the complex. We weren't going out and eating, weren't buying houses, buying used cars, all that. So for us, man, finding that, it was just something that was always taught to us, I think. The value of a dollar early on by working hard, earning deserved. That was just something that was in our blood because our parents did a really good job of raising us that way.
And what about just the, people, so many voices out there, and there's so many different voices today with what's going on, and everybody's trying to do what's right. It's so hard when the majority of the people want there to be peace, want there to be happiness, want to help. The majority, right? And then there's a few bad eggs, and then unfortunately, I was using Ryan Leaf as an example because we represented him at Leigh Steinberg. That one incident gets played over and over and over and over. Not to discount the incident, but once again, we got to be constructive and progressive about making change. And we can't create more problems for ourselves. What are some of the things that you think about with all the people that have come after you and your brother, and with attacking thoughts, and it can wear on you?
Yeah, man, it's something that you always have to, think about the good. You have to block that out, man. It was tough, especially for me as a rookie. My brother with going through injuries. You're at your lowest of your low at that time too, and that's what really makes it hard. But you have to lean on the people that you trust and you love, and I think as a family we've done a really good job of that. And man, find those people in your life and surround yourself with them. And for us, it's always been the brothers, man. We hit each other up when times. If you can lean on your brother or family member, that's huge, and that's somebody that you can always trust. So for us, man, that was how we did it. That's how we did it, and that's how we got through tough times.
We're going to switch to a little bit of football. What do you think your brother's chances are this year for another Super Bowl?
Man, I hope they're really good. I mean, I think it's going to be impressive to watch, and it's going to be fun. But there is a curse, and I know of this curse because I played with the Cowboys when the Super Bowl was hosted in Dallas, and no team has ever went to their own Super Bowl. If they hosted it, they've never went to it. So I think this is a year of a lot of different things that have happened, a lot of crazy things that we never thought would happen, and I think that might be as well. But I had my brother on my podcast talking about it, and we just kept saying, we have to put the work in. We have to go back to day one. We have to figure out what works. And system, completely new, completely different. And you have to grind, man. It's never easy. Every team, every player is the best player in the world at their position for the most part, or the top 32 best players. So there's always amazing, just all about coming together and putting a team together and working as a team.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to coming on your podcast. Tell us a little bit about it and there's so many people starting podcasts, doing podcasts. Tell me the number one lesson that you learned, but tell us about the podcast.
And yeah, for sure. So it's called Gronked Up, and the whole idea was to bring people back. I've had so many people reach out to me and ask me about business, about fitness, nutrition. And so I said, hey, instead of giving these one line answers or maybe a couple is, let's really dig deep and really go into it. So I went on there and I started a podcast, and we'll go and break down how to market on Facebook, how to set up an email list, how to build a website. And then we'll bring in amazing guests like nutrition coaches, diet coaches, weightlifting coaches. We'll bring in CEOs and just talk about how to start your business, how to run it. So instead of just giving these 2-line answers, now you can go on the podcast and say, wow, I could really learn a lot in minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes from Chris, from our CMO as well, who's my co-host, or from some of these amazing guests on as well. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's also really awesome for networking.
Yeah, what they're asking, what time is it in the US?
Oh, right now? 10, 12.
10-12. There you go. That's must be in Central Time then.
Yeah. I'm right outside of Dallas.
It's still hanging out there. And
Oh, yeah.
what are the Cowboys' chances this year?
Man, it's I don't know. It's definitely tough, but I think every year, man, every team, no matter how good you are, still a long shot. Or it really is, and it's one injury that can ruin an entire season. I mean, if you lose a quarterback or a main player, you go from a Super Bowl favorite to almost not even having a chance. I mean, that's how competitive the league is. So, man, I'm excited to watch. I'm excited for sports to be back, and I think it's going to be a really fun year, and everyone's really going to be excited because kind of just been pent up and haven't been able to watch any sports.
Yeah, man, I'm dying for it. I actually think I'm a Chargers fan, so I think we have a huge advantage because we're used to not playing in front of people. So if they don't have fans, they'll be like, how the heck is this team so fired up every week? They're just used to it.
Yeah. There for a preseason. Actually, that was the last team I played for. I got hurt with a high ankle sprain and was released with an injury settlement. But, hey, I played in a couple preseason games there. I also was with the Broncos, so I got to play in San Diego as well. And, yeah, man, they didn't always fill the stadium, but it was always nice out. It was always
nice out. You can always say that about Charger fans. It's always nice out. All right, well, everybody has to join you on the packet. What's the best piece of advice that you have? There's millions of people now starting podcasts, all types of different areas. Yours is doing so well. Like I said, I can't wait to come on it as well and share some of my CEO advice in the space. But more importantly, what have you learned from doing that podcast that, so many people may not think about when they start?
Man, a lot. There's a lot. And one of the reasons I actually started as well was just to become a better speaker. People ask me, how are you so smooth on the podcast? Wow, how does it sound so? It didn't sound like that at first. It was awful, and we do edit it as well, so it sounds even better. But I think it really helps, and I think communication is one of the big skills to have as a business owner, but just in general, communication is absolutely huge. So being able to go every week, twice a week, and talk for over an hour, tough, especially when you haven't done it in the past. It's really helped with everything from confidence to speaking in front of people and just being able to communicate better. So that's one of the things that I didn't really realize I would get better at. But I definitely have got a lot better practicing and doing it over and over and over. So if you're somebody that's kind of scared to talk in front of people, I grew up, I was terrified to get on stage, especially when I was little. So, to do this and do it over and over again, it's really helped me and has really helped me become a better speaker as well.
Well, I think you're great, and the lessons that you tell and the stories that you tell to explain them are extraordinary, and you're doing a great job. I can't wait to see how that evolves for you and develops, and I look forward to coming on the podcast and seeing you. Okay, Chris?
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on as well.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Congratulations. Let me know when you have the baby.
Yep, it's coming soon. I appreciate it.
That's crazy. Good luck. That's awesome. Chris Gronkowski, great dad. He's a boy maker. He's a boy machine. They call him a quarterback machine, but oh my gosh, I started with 3 girls, and I will not trade that. But it's so nice to have one boy at least, my main man, and we're putting up with 3 teenage daughters at the time, so it's incredible. Most exciting time in your life, having a baby. Never can explain what it means or what it is. And I think it's really good. Thank you, Chris. Everybody check out his podcast for sure. We'll go on there and have some fun and promote that as well. Looking here next on the mic. Let's see. Let's see here. Amjad's here. Let's try him. And we're getting loaded up here today. What was your first job and how old were you? Hey, look at you, buddy. You look great. How are you?
I appreciate that, man. So do you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm trying to fight through this chaotic sense, trying to help people get some clarity and get some positive action going. Obviously, I'm a little bit older. You know, I was in LA during, you know, Rodney King, and I've been in riots. Never been in a pandemic before. But when it's a heightened, you know, fear and anger, my main thing always is to get people to think with their heart and their head and get things done. This is a time for change. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't want people to think, you know, I'm, you know, Mother Teresa walking the streets of Calcutta, giving everything away. Like I'm out there protesting and telling people, but in a constructive manner. And I'm really a student. Like I think people need to pay attention and give intention to what they want and not just go crazy and do, you know, emotional things that can damage, and people can die, right? That's the whole purpose of this, is to stop people from dying. And yet you don't want to create people dying.
Right. But you've got to understand, you know, this is a challenging time for people that look like me who've experienced police brutality and experienced just blatant racism for really no direction and no productivity moving forward to help move our society forward. And I think part of the biggest challenge is that, you know, we need everybody to stand up with us. We need everybody to be on our side and to understand we're beyond the point of raising awareness, but that's the reason behind protesting. And, you know, sometimes when you don't get your voice heard, you need to make your voice heard in ways that matter most. And I think this is a chance for us as people to unite together and to hopefully draw some sort of change, right? I think Barack Obama just had a really amazing post about it, where he's talking about true leadership, right? And unfortunately, you know, our country right now isn't led by someone who's bringing people together, right? It's someone who is trying to create a divisive, you know, and draw a line, divisive community, draw a line in the sand between those who stay on the right side of history and those who either don't say anything or support the things that are going on that are negative. So it's challenging to be where we are in society today, and to know that we don't have the leadership we need to move in the right direction.
Right. And I always say nobody can ever walk a mile in your shoes, right? Like for me, when I was in law school, got arrested, banged up, my roommate literally got knocked out, you know, thing about being Jewish, right? Fruits and berries from California. We were, you know, hated upon for being different. And I was told straight out as they banged my head on the Louisiana police hood, you have no rights. You know, I was a law student. I was like, hey, man, I'm sanctioned under Rule 56 Louisiana bar, you know, third-year law student. And it was just, boom, you have no rights. And that was one incident in my life. It's not like I walk the streets in fear of that always happening. But I know my business partner is Warren Moon. I've been a sports agent. I've been around, you know, my own friends of different colors and ethnicities, et cetera. They don't know what it's like to get pulled over every single time, or walk on the street in a police car, just drive by you and the hairs on your neck rise up because you're terrified of the people who are supposed to be protecting you. And the saddest thing is, I believe 99% of the people that are working for those industries, judges, lawyers, policemen, 99% of them or so, they're there to protect us. They're there to help us. And we got to figure out how to get rid of, you know, the 1% when you got a police officer that has 18, you know, reports against him. Like, why is he still on the force, right?
Yeah, that's a big challenge. That's a big challenge. You know, first of all, you know, I'm sorry that you had to experience that too, right? It's unfortunate that the people who are supposed to be the ones that are, you know, supporting us and bringing justice aren't doing that, right? And like you said, not all cops are bad people, and I think we're all on the same page about that. But I think where we're kind of misconstrued here is that the people who are supposed to be policing our community should look like us, should understand how to deal with people that come from specific backgrounds that, you know, they have some sort of implicit bias that they haven't had training against. And that's ultimately the biggest challenge, is how do you police people that you don't understand? How do you police people that you don't know, right? And part of that is having people that look like us in our communities. But at the same time, it doesn't excuse any of that behavior that's happened, right? If you take a look at George Floyd's situation, that officer didn't need to have his knee on his neck for that long. They didn't need to go
or
about
at
it that
all,
way,
or at all.
or at all, right?
Yeah.
That sort of situation shouldn't be happening. And I think ultimately, again, it's going to take a true, effort from all of us to be able to bind together and to say, look, this is unacceptable, right? A lot of people are saying now, from from this point moving forward, if I see someone who is being attacked by the police, either we're both going to survive the situation together, or we're both going to die together. And that's a pretty extreme situation to have to live through and to have to experience. But again, this is America, right? How can the police kill people in broad daylight and not be prosecuted fairly, not be, taken care of? Like, this is really ridiculous that we have to fight to just be treated equally as human beings, let alone, as people that are contributing members to society. It's really frustrating, to be living in this world, and then to not have any leadership from the people who should be the ones driving that conversation forward. And so that's why I'm proud of the people who are protesting and making their voices heard and fighting on all of our behalves, because not all of us have the opportunity to go out and do something, right? Some of us are in communities where if we were to go do something like that, imagine protesting in different parts of Texas where everybody has their weapons out. God only knows what'll happen there, right?
Yeah. No, and there's so many variables, and time is another one of those variables too that gets so frustrating, right? Whether as a business person, you're working for a big company and you don't see any change, right? And when I was younger, man, drive me even crazy. But this is a huge issue, and I went to the same college as President Obama. I'm a leadership person whose main mission entire life is unification and happiness, right? Like, I talk about connected to the greatest source of light, love, and lessons, and everything else. Not everything except for this. Everything else, we're all connected to the source. And I wake up and I have to, what I call, cancel, clear, connect, because I'm so full of anxiety that how come this isn't going faster? What am I supposed to say? Now that I'm in a position of leadership, now that I'm in a position to bring people like you on to show, okay, here's a perspective that I don't know, right? I got to ask the right questions to figure out how can we share a perspective. But there's one word that comes to mind, and it's simply unification. They did a Stanford study before this happened, right? This is about our leaders. Mm-hmm. And they said, if you're going to elect the next leader of our country, what's the one thing you want from that leader? And overwhelming from college students was unification. That to me is the most terrifying survey that I've ever read, that we're so far apart that this divisive, separate energy, right, which is nothing but a corrosion and an interference to light, love, and lessons that we all should be sharing. This is the most abundant time in the history of the universe. There's more than enough of everything for everyone. And yet this is where we're at right now. Think about that. Mathematically, economically, technologically, quantitative facts, not bullshit subjective stuff. Quantitatively, the most abundant time in the entire universe, and we're dealing with this stuff because of divisive leadership.
I mean, listen, I've been saying it from the beginning of this conversation. It takes true leadership to bring people together, right? If you just take a step back just over the last few months and how the pandemic has been handled by the American government, Donald Trump didn't even acknowledge that it was something that was deathly, right? He just, now he's trying to reopen the country as if nothing is going on. Again, this man's leadership has been extremely divisive. But anyway, I think at the end of the day, man, this is an opportunity for us to come together as a nation and to do the right thing for its people. And that's what I think is the most important thing to do here, right? So I don't know when that next change is going to come. We've had amazing leaders like MLK and Malcolm X and all these other amazing, incredible Black leaders who stood up for us and did the right thing to unite American people. But it's time now too to have our white counterparts and people that are part of the majority to stand in solidarity with us and to say, look, enough is enough, right? You've seen some of the protesters who've actually surrounded one police officer, for example, that was by himself. And it could have been an opportunity for them to attack that person, but they decided to defend that individual. They decided to do the right thing. And I think that's exactly what we need from our white counterparts, is for them to stand up and protect us, for them to come and say to that cop, hey, get off, right? Because maybe a white person won't be shot in broad daylight if they stand up and say, hey, what are you doing? This is wrong, right? But a black person, unfortunately, we may be at risk, right? And that's the challenge here, is how do we get everybody to stand with us, to realize what's happening here is wrong, right? And I think, unfortunately, we sort of have to go back to the very basics and explain to people, hey, look, your actions in this particular situation are racist, right? Whether you believe it or not, whether you accept it or not, it's time for you to understand how you show up in society. It's time for you to understand how you contribute to the hate that exists in the world. And that's what we need. You know, I think it's time to stop talking. It's time to take more action. And I'm hoping that in November, more of us can get out and vote. More of us can get out and truly change the direction of the where this country is going.
That last question, because 51 million or so people on Earth or in America, politically, right, align with our leadership, right, and in the financial reasons or whatever reasons, and
probably more,
right?
More.
Yeah, whatever millions it is. And what would you say as an African American to people that support Trump but don't support what's going on? Like they in their minds, right? They have African American friends, their support, right? And I'm talking about the perception from my eyes of what I see. Mm-hmm. And it's been difficult for me, to reconcile a lot of issues because of the divisiveness. But what do you say to like someone that, likes Trump because they own a whole bunch of property and they're making more money, and they think that all of this other stuff isn't directly related to our leadership? It's not, the pandemic would have happened anyway. Any president would have done the same thing. Like, these are the things that I hear,
sure.
Right? So, because to me, these unification issues much bigger than even the leadership, even though you and I probably agree on leadership and what we need.
Sure.
But what do we say to those people? Because everybody's allowed to have their voice in America, right? This is a country of democracy, and those people are allowed to have a voice. And I challenge myself to say, okay, fair enough. You like that, but think about this. What do you say?
Mm-hmm. Listen, I can't judge anyone for who they decide to vote for. I can never judge anyone for who they support. Everybody has their own, kind of things that they consider when it's time for them to do the right thing. And so I personally don't support Donald Trump, but at the same time, I think that we have to look at our leaders or the people that are in positions of power and think about how they show up holistically. If this one person is divisive when it comes to race, right, which that was how he ran, that was his platform, is forget about the immigrants, forget about all that. Let's make America great again. I think that was a really toxic environment for him to create for all of us to be a part of as minorities. And so I try to tell those people that support Donald Trump and set aside the things that make him so evil and look at the fiscal responsibility or look at what he's doing for tax purposes and all that, and just say, listen, it's not enough. You can't ignore the things that make someone evil. You can't ignore one part of a person and pay attention to only another part because this part influences you positively. You've got to look at people as a whole, as who they are, and allow that to allow you to drive your decision making based on who that person shows up to be. But you also have to believe people. When people show up and tell you that, hey, I hate immigrants or whatever, you have to believe that they have some sort of hate in their heart. And unfortunately, not enough people are paying attention to who people are as a whole. People are picking and choosing different parts of who they want to support. That's where you have failure. That's where you have a breakdown in leadership.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that your perspective is in this direction, and yet, and whether people agree or not, there's still women, minorities that are so pro leadership, right? And it's like, okay, I get the okay, you're not a minority, you don't have my perception, but now there's all these other minorities, right? Women and minorities that, to me, it seems substantially objective that they've been discriminated against.
Yeah, but David, this is the thing. You don't have to be a minority, or you don't have to be someone who is oppressed to understand that oppression exists. And that's the hard thing here that people don't understand. Everybody can look and understand the difference between right and wrong. You don't have to be white to look at a situation and know that something is right or wrong. You don't have to be black to be the only one to be able to say this is right or wrong. And that's why it's so important for all of us to come together, right? That's why we can't be here, all of us, just being angry all day, every day. It's time for us to do something about it, right? And that's why it's important for our white counterparts to jump into this conversation, and for people like you to continue using your platform to drive that sort of change and allow people to open their eyes and really understand what it is that we're experiencing in this world, because we're all living in it together. We've all got to be here together.
No better way to end, man. Welcome to come back on anytime, my friend. Keep
Appreciate
up.
it, man. Good to see you.
Communication, over communicating. Let's raise the communication, the engagement, the unification, not
Yes,
just
sir.
awareness. So I love that, man. Take care. Keep on fighting.
Hey, David, give my best to your team, Jake and all those guys. Tell them I said hello.
You got it, my friend. Thank you.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Great enlightenment. I appreciate it. Jakey Bakey, you got a big fan club. Look at that. And Team Meltzer, thank you very much. What an extraordinary. Let's getting through all these things. And thank you, Dr. Where's Jen? I thought she was here. Jen Gottlieb, my famous PR person. And I know she has her new Be on TV. Let's check that out. Let me answer a question before we bring Jen on, and we'll go from there. What is your training on this Friday? It is on restarting, starting over, re-engineering. It's a perfect time. Like, what do we do? Like, what is the advantage of doing that? There's Jen right there. And it's Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Join me, text me, email me. There she is.
Dave, what's up?
Be on TV.
Yeah, no, how are you?
I'm amazing. You know, it's for me, I love times when I'm really deep into thought and introspective thinking. I have a mathematical brain, so I love the multivariable situations, and I can utilize 30 some years of processing and analyzing to help bring highly complex issues and try to bring either the right questions or the simplicity so that people can say, hey, you know what, that's my frequency or that's not my frequency. But hopefully through that, bring people together. And what you do, believe it or not, is so important to bring people together, right? You're an effective communicator, an extraordinary PR person. And now I'm really curious to understand what you're doing with the Be on TV stuff.
The Be on TV challenge. Yeah, I mean, well, I know a lot of people that follow you obviously are entrepreneurs and business people, and people that at the end of the day, especially if they follow you, they have a really important message to share with the world. Like that can help millions of people. Like you are just stepping up and being really, really visible, being visible in the media, being visible on social media, doing everything to share your message. You're helping people. And if you have that in you, it's your responsibility out there as much as possible so the people that you can help can find you. And, every day that goes by that you're not putting yourself out there and you're not sharing the message is another day that those people are not going to get your help. Or they're going to go follow someone else or pay someone that doesn't necessarily care as much as you and isn't as good as you because they can't find you. So in essence, we help people be visible so that they can help more people. And it's the most important thing in the world. And the Be on TV challenge is just that. It's a 5-day challenge where we teach people everything they need to know about how to pitch and book TV segments so that they can talk about what they can share their message on TV, which is, what on TV or like web TV on the internet, so that people can find them and people can consume their content and people can get help.
And what's so neat about what you're doing, because I love it's Be on TV, and yes, it's digital, meaning web TV as well. But I always say if I can get down to the rudimentary PR side of things, it's the most effective because of my strategy is if you're in, let's say, a newspaper, right, that has no perpetual nature to it at all, hardly any, a print newspaper that's delivered to somebody's house, the oldest, or a piece of mail. What people don't understand is that is way more powerful, because if you're creative, you can capture that with yourself, modify it, amplify it, and then perpetuate it digitally. And something that may have a distribution of 10 people, right? Some magazine that 10 people get can reach millions of people through what you do and what you teach. And I think, I would say the farther back you can go in the actual platform, the better. Then if you're already starting at the end and you're just doing an Instagram live, this is great, but there's only so many people that come live with me. It's the hundreds of thousands that watch it when it's recorded that's so important.
100%. Yes, that's exactly what we say. We say the initial media hit, whatever that is, that's 20% of the win. 80% is what you do with it afterwards. Like you could get on the Today Show or Good Morning America, right? Biggest national television show ever. You know, and that segment that you do is probably 6 minutes long. So people watch it for 6 minutes and then it's gone. What do you do with it after to make the most impact, to get the most eyeballs on it? That yes, you could take one little article that's in an old-fashioned newspaper and you could leverage it and turn it into something spectacular that impacts millions with the power of your voice and the power of technology. Super cool. So I always say, like, in our firm, in our agency, we work really holistically. We get people on everything, whether that's or podcast or TV or radio, because it's not about the actual hit. Like you said, it's about what you do and then we'll help you leverage it, which is that's where the magic happens.
It's so funny you say that, because in 1999 I was on Good Morning America for the world's first smartphone, and it was called a convergence device, and I had maybe 15 seconds to 30 seconds, right? It was on we had one best of Comdex, and I joke around because millions of people watch that live on TV, and we got a little bit of a blip of people reaching out to us. But I couldn't imagine if I had that segment today, what I could do with it, with the platform that I built, using strategies that you've helped me develop and other people. It's amazing. And I'm so glad that you're doing something about it. And the challenge itself is so great because it's a catalyst to motivate people to give it a try. I'm going to ask you one more question, because I think audience is a big problem. I don't think people realize, like, how significant an audience is that's small, right? And so they quit, right? They quit. You see this, and I'm a 20 segment person or more, meaning I'm looking for doubling 20 times. So I'm okay getting 2 people in a year, because I know in 20 years I have 2 million people, and that's just with 2 people who love what I do that are every year share to 2 people. That's all it takes. And then those 2 people share to 2 people. It gets to 2 million people in 20 years. But what most people do is they hire someone like you, and then, like, after 5 days, they're like, well, why aren't I Dave Meltzer? Why aren't I Gary Vee? Why, how come I'm not, with millions of people? Well, because it takes the Noah's Ark effect, right? And luckily it doesn't take generations. It may take years, but the benefit's so great. How do you convince people about that acceleration and growth and segmentation?
It's consistency. So look at what you're doing. You are so consistent. You've been doing this for a while. You are on the clock every single Friday, no matter what. I think the biggest thing that people get wrong is a great idea. Hey, I'm going to go live, once a week, or I'm going to put out a newsletter, or I'm going to media. And then they may not get amazing results right away. Like, they may not get lots of followers or watching. They may get more. And to them, they're like, this isn't enough. I'm just going to stop, or they fall. And that is where all your momentum resides. But if you stick it out and you show up for those people again and again and again, and they know for sure that they can count on you for consistency, oh my gosh, they're going to be super fans. And super fans tell their friends, who tell their friends, who tell their friends, who share about you. That is how you slowly build the Gary Vee, the David Meltzer situation. It's consistency. It's being with those people through their growth, through their hard times, and consistently being a source of mentorship for them in the long run. That's what it is.
Yeah, and then it's so true. And then the last thing that I've learned, and you've actually helped me with as well, because I've seen some stuff that you've done on this. It's not just the people that love us, right? It's not just the people. I think it's really, and I see it in my comments, when we're talking about a touchy subject, a sensitive topic like what's going on with Floyd here. It's okay for people to disagree, right? And to attack me. Because Howard Stern built a $1 billion platform on not being liked by more people than liked him. But the people who didn't like him watched him twice as much as the people that did like him.
100%.
Right. And so how do you, kind of teach or train or help people with their ego? Because nobody likes, the only thing that bothers me now about the negative stuff is that it hurts my wife's feelings, because it doesn't hurt mine, but I just feel bad. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay that somebody doesn't like me or agree with me. But they're here engaged, and they're going to go talk about it to someone else, and we're all going to learn more, and we actually can come closer together. How do you help people with the ego side of it?
100%. Well, the first thing with the ego thing is to put it to rest right before you worry about that, right before it even happens, that you don't necessarily worry, is don't think about you or what people are going to think about you. Think about the people you're helping. So flip it all around. It is all about the people you're serving. That's it. Before I write a post, before I pitch the media, before I go on TV, before I do anything, I'm talking to one person I can help. A hater that's going to judge me, not like my ego worried about what I look like or if people are going to think I said the right thing or the wrong thing. I'm one person I can help. Flip that around, your place of service. If they don't like you, then they don't like you. But for every person that doesn't like you, because you took a stand and you had an opinion and you said something that, you know, maybe wasn't like just trying to please everybody, there's going to be 20 people that are like, oh my God, you changed my life. For every one person that's like, ugh, I didn't like that. But in order to have that happen, you have to be brave enough to take a stand. And the way that you get out of your head and worry about what people think about the stand you're taking is by just, I call it hope, HOPE, help one person every day. You help one, just think about helping people, and that is it.
You nailed it for me, and I had heard that before because, you know, I take it to a level of I want to empower a billion people, over a billion people to be happy. Well, that leaves over 7 billion people, right? That may not know me or like me at all. And yet I would be one of the most impactful people in my lifetime if I can find 1,000 people like you, Jen, that are going to empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000 people. And 1,000 people is not that many. And that means that 7,000 people may hate me or not know me from that first 1,000, and then from the next million, 7 million, and then from a billion, 7 billion. And yet people lose track of those numbers. I always joke around, there's 4.4 billion people on the internet, and I joke around all the time, I just 1.1 billion of them to be happy, and I would have an extraordinary life, right? And I focus, and I don't care if 20 people tell me, and I'm blessed because I get these messages, you changed my life, all these wonderful things are happening, but yet 80 people a day said, you're a moron, I don't believe one thing you say, I don't like you at all. But those 20, I would be so excited. And I think most people, if they experienced, would understand it as well. All right, last thing about the 5-day challenge. How do people get involved in the Be On TV 5-day challenge?
BeOnTVChallenge.com. Go there, get on. It starts on June 22nd. It's 5 days long. And guys, like, not only do you learn how to get on TV, like people get on TV, they get for the first time, but there's an emotional and like a soul transformation that happens because we go through the process of just getting rid of that imposter syndrome, you know, of thinking like, who am I to talk about what, and really go deep and realize like, and teach tools on how to be able to stand up and say, hey, I am the expert here. I'm here to help people. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to step into my greatness, and I'm speak loud and proud in the media. Magical, the transformation. Day 5. It's so cool.
I can't wait myself and my team as well. We're going to overload you with people, and that's so great. The Be On TV Challenge, check it out. Jen Gottlieb, you're incredible. Your perspective is perfect. I've been in this business a long time. It's obvious the difference the way we look, but you get it. Let me just tell everyone, I built my whole brand utilizing these types of philosophies and strategies and mindset. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a super fan. All right.
Thank you. Be happy. Take care. All right. I love that smile right next to me and the one that was right below me. That's awesome. All right, everyone. Don't forget Friday's training is on starting over, re-engineering a start, setting it up a start. You know, the first 10 minutes, that's what it's about. The first 10 minutes are always the most challenging, and I want to get people through the first 10 minutes. Call it an evolution, call it a revolution, call it a start over, re-engineering. However you define it, every day is that type of day. And so I want to get into the crux of how we can accelerate and grow and not worry about the obstacles, voids, and shortages that are presented every single day, how we clear the interference and corrosion to that great source of power, light, and love. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jen. And the Be On TV Challenge is something that will all start on June 22nd, just coming up in 3 short weeks. How incredible is that? Thank you. All right, everyone. We'll see you Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead, text me at 949-298-2905. I'm one of the few people. I'll give you my email, david@dmeltzer.com. dmeltzer.com/training, dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. Remember, everybody, with everything going on, there's one simple rule that I live by. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.